friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel once again. If you're here for the very first time, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and don't forget to share this video, and also leave a comment below. See, I'm talking proper, so you have to do it. I'll just wait until you do it. No pressure.
Can I pet that dog?
No.
Can I pet that dog?
No, he's
Can I
sleeping.
pet that dog?
Anyway guys, I asked you what you'd like to know, and if you didn't watch your previous video, I'm going to link it up somewhere here. Go and watch that if you'd like to know how I survived my pre-internship in Zambia. My name is Dr. Trambo and I studied in Dalian Medical University, China, and these are tips on how I survived.
You know you've got that thing that makes the girls all swing.
So since you're watching this, somebody requested a part 2 and they wanted to know how I survived basically med school and how I got to know myself, what worked for me, how I found out what worked for me, and all those things. And that is what I'm going to share today, so you don't have to go through it. And if you're already going through it, it'll give you some clarity on how to just go about everything. First things first, guys. I know that we all come from a society and from a background where you don't necessarily always study what you want to study. Take me for instance. I wanted to go to Bible school. Did I want to study medicine? No. To be fair, don't shoot down my parents. Every single time I was asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always said a doctor, because that's what I saw, that's what my mom was, and that's what I understood to be the way to follow. So I got to my final year of high school and I decided I didn't want this anymore. So what changed my mind actually was I had found God for myself when I was in my final year of high school, and I decided I want to follow him, and that's all I want to do and nothing else. So for me, putting that into context, that meant me going either to Bible school or something like that. So I sat down with my very African parents and told them, your child does not want to be a doctor anymore, she wants to go and be a pastor. Now we all know how that story went because I studied medicine. So probably, like every proper African adult who knows exactly what they stand for and what they want in life, I did what every African child would do when faced with such a situation. I looked my mom straight in the eye and I said, yes, ma. And that's how I found myself in China. Now, China was completely cultural shock for me because first of all, the food, the environment, everything was totally different. This was basically the first time I was living alone. I got there and I was in this strange place, and now I had to settle in, I had to fit in. I was surrounded with people from literally all over the world, and so had to find my squad, had to fit in and stuff like that. So now right here, I'll begin to incorporate certain things that you should follow in trying to fit in or trying to find yourself in uni. Number one, I found myself a niche. So I found myself mostly with the people in my class who were Zambians, and most of them are my bestest friends until today. And those are the people that I hang out with. My first roommate was Zambian. My second roommate was Zambian too. So after you find your niche, find where you fit in. I hang out in different places with different people, trying to see exactly where I fit in. Different types of people, people with different characters, people from different countries and different calibers. And then I finally found myself in my niche and the place that I would stick with for the rest of my time in Dalian, China. And that was, for me, the church. So since I complained so much about not being able to go to Bible school and I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there and my parents were making a very big mistake, I found out that our local church, Dalian International Christian Fellowship, had a seminary school every weekend. So from the time I was in first semester, I decided to join, and that's I rode with that until I graduated. So big ups to that. For me, that was my safe place. That's where I found myself. That's literally where I discovered who I am. I discovered what works for me, not in terms of school, just like life generally, my passions. That's where I went when I was having mental breakdowns. That's where I went when I was having difficulty in school, and they received me with open arms. Now, this might not be the story for everyone, but that just happened to be my story. So I did what my people did. I went where my people went. Now, I began to realize that I wasn't really getting much work in when it came to school, and I realized that everyone around me was actually doing pretty well, but I wasn't, and I had to figure out why. So I had a rude awakening, because throughout high school, believe it or not, I actually didn't know myself. I didn't study. I tried to study, but honestly, let's be honest, I wasn't remembering anything that I was studying. So I did what I knew would actually work for me in that setting of high school, which was I found someone who remembered more when she spoke whatever she read out loud, and I received more by listening than reading. So I sat with her and I studied with her while she studied her books. She literally told me what she studied, and basically that's how I passed my exams off my memory, because every time I tried to read, I wouldn't remember anything. So now that system couldn't work in university for obvious reasons. So whenever my roommates would study, I would study. Whenever my friends would say let's study, I would study, and I thought that would actually work for me. At least I was doing what's expected of me. I soon realized that that was a big mistake. Let's take first and second semester for example. Second semester was the most detrimental for me, and third semester, because we had subjects like chemistry and histology and embryology, and subjects I basically didn't really like. And what would happen was people would come to our room and would study the whole night, and by the time it's morning, we'd expect that we're ready for exams, and you go and write and you ace your exams. So my friends were acing their exams, but I wasn't, and I was wondering why. So now this is what I discovered. I discovered that I need sleep for me to function. This is something very, very important for you to realize, because if you're pulling all-nighters with your friends, that might not work for you, but it works for them. I realized this in my third semester when we had a histology exam, and we stayed up the whole night, discussed everything, didn't sleep an inch or dozed here and there. But by the time it came to exam time, I went into the exam room, saw very similar questions, but couldn't remember any of the answers. So I basically wrote what I could remember and rushed out of the exam room. So as per routine, I went to clean my room after the exam, because everyone was in my room, so it was probably and obviously dirty. And as I was cleaning my room, like 3 hours later after the exam, everyone had come back and we're just chilling and whatever. All of a sudden, every single thing I had studied was in my head again. Oof. I was like, now, this time, 4 hours after the exam, that's when I'm deciding to remember these things. Where were these things when I was trying to remember them all this while? See? I followed what everyone did and didn't realize that I'm different. So believe it or not, I only actually got to realize this by somewhere like 6th semester, which is like my 3rd year of medical school. So the first 2 years are basically trash. Like pass mark was 60, I always got like 65, 70, 60.5. But then that's the thing, we weren't told to expect more. We were told as long as you pass your exams, you're good. That is a lie, my friends. So another thing that I realized was all my friends were studying in the evening. We'd hang out the whole day after school. Then every time people go to bed or in the evening, they go and study. I tried that a few times, but then the thing was I was super tired, so it wasn't really working for me. By the time people are studying, I need to sleep, and my roommate needed to use the light, and I couldn't sleep with the light on. And I am a very light sleeper, so every single time she moved, I woke up and I was very frustrated. Then I realized it's time I probably got a single room. I got my own room, and now it was time for me to explore and discover myself. For some reason, my room was just somehow the chill spot. There was always music playing in the background, very slow, nice worship music. It was very ambient. I didn't like direct light, so I always had lamps on and stuff like that. It was just, I always like set a mood. My bed was like a huge couch. It was very welcoming, honestly, and I liked it that way because that's the kind of person that I am. I couldn't keep people out of my room, so I had to find another strategy. This wasn't working. Until one day, I caught a glimpse of the glory. Oh! I had a revelation. I had a revelation one day.
Oh my God!
I had a dream. I realized that most people like to engage during a certain time, study during a certain time, and the dorms are usually quiet at a certain time, and I couldn't focus for whatsoever reason as much as I wanted to in the library. So God gave me ideas, and these were the ideas. After a certain semesters, I started to sleep at 6 p.m. I had to specify, I'm putting down rules and you guys have to be responsible about them. You have to be respectful, and stuff like that. So basically, I don't know what number I'm on, but you gotta set boundaries. And those are the boundaries that I set. So I said, I am going to sleep from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. That's exactly 6 hours. If I can get to bed before 6 p.m., great. But most people wouldn't let me sleep. So like 6 p.m.-ish, 7, and then wake up midnight to 1 in the morning. So to help me do that, I literally slept with headsets and I would sleep until midnight. So by the time I got up, everyone was literally asleep. And that was the perfect timing. So number 5, find the perfect time. I found my time, and that time was after midnight. So that's the time I would wake up, take a shower, and I'm up, have some breakfast, and I start my day. I'd study the whole night, watch YouTube video or whatever subject paraphernalia that I need to look at, and then in the morning, either I shower again, or if we're good, I just go to class and then live my day like everyone else. And that, my friends, is how my grades started going up. My grades started improving. I was in a better mood. I wasn't angry at anyone because I felt like they were stealing my time or anything like that, because I had set boundaries and I had known my own time and what works for me. So I'm the person who functions better if you tell me, Wezi, you have 4 hours from 1:30 to 3:30, you're going to be doing this. From 3:30 to 4, you're going to be doing this and that and that and that. Basically, it's easier for me to work on a schedule. I managed to fit my time so tightly that at each time I had something to do, so that I'll utilize my time more, because the less time I had, the more I actually got done. So I involved myself with campus fellowship. I involved myself with ISRC, which is the representative council. I was my class representative, so I handled all the schoolwork. So whatever work I needed to do, I'll do it. I'll make the phone calls, follow people, write letters, write debriefs, minutes, all those things. And I managed to fit my schedule in such a way that when I set time to study, because I have a specific time to study, I would utilize that time 100%. Number 7, I talked a bit about this, but I'm gonna talk about community, or people who push you in a forward direction. For example, I had friends like Musonda and Gordon who always pushed me, and Susanna. Like, Susanna was literally at my door every day, like, let's go study, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Like, even if I didn't want to do it, she was that voice of reason that kind of like, no, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And it was just like, okay, I have to get this done. So find community that will fight for you. When they see that you're wasting your time, they correct you and they lead you in the right direction. Now, most of the time in your niche, people don't usually say this to you, because those are the people who you're doing those silly things with and wasting time with, which won't even benefit you in the end. But hey,
It is what it is.
it is what it is, you know? Discover the time wasters and cut down on them. So I realized there were a lot of things during the day that I could actually do without. You know what I mean. But then I watched things like House, because House was both educational, less drama, somewhat truth, and it was never lupus. Seriously though, it took like 45 minutes for an episode to be done. So by the time I was eating my lunch while watching an episode, or eating my dinner while watching an episode, I actually feel like, okay, I've gotten the entertainment section out of the way. Now I can actually do something else. Number 8, I would say, is therapy. Now, I'm not saying you go and see a therapist. I mean, if that's what works for you, well and good. But what I mean is something that de-stresses you, and something that basically just calms you down and puts you in a really good place, either emotionally, mentally, because this is something that we actually struggle with, especially during university, is mental health. And that's something that I'm actually very passionate about, but I never actually had the ground to explore what it meant for me or what it meant for other people and stuff like that. I'd literally go to the beach and just unwind from there. I would close my eyes as the wind hits my skin, the sound of the waves, or I have some music on, and just literally just speak to God, speak my heart out, pour out my emotions. Basically, instead of me having a journal or diary, this is what I did. Now, this might not work for you, this might work for you. I was actually really sporty, so I was either playing basketball, playing netball, volleyball, or playing futsal. Physical fitness is also important for your mental health. Number 9, find the material that works for you. Now, if you look at the textbooks that we have in China, they're this thick, especially like the IMED, this thick, no colors, no pictures, nothing, tiny words, and the English sometimes is a bit off. So what I discovered was that I'm a visual learner. If I saw a video on YouTube about pulmonary edema, it's likely that it's going to stay longer in my head than me just reading about it. Now on that, I'll go to number 10. See, the people who are teaching you are Chinese people whose primary language is not English. So when they give you slides, they kind of want you to write those very same answers in exam. For most of us, you feel like instead of cramming, you really want to understand your medicine and stuff like that. So when it comes to exams, you're using books like Bailey and Love for surgery, or you're using Kumar and Clark for IMED, whatever it is. Those things are not bad, but let me tell you why you're failing is because you're using the wrong material. Specifically for these universities and for these professors. See, if someone doesn't know English well and they give you a certain script and they say this is what you should write, they give you a specific definition. That's the definition they expect to see in their paper. They expect the very same definition that they give you in their slides to show up on your paper when you're writing your exams. So I'm gonna give you a hack on how to pass Chinese exams. Throughout the whole semester, I read and understood what the content of the subject was. Time of exam is not time for me to start opening Bailey and Love for surgery. Time of exam is for me to study their material and reproduce that very same material. So now you can be a person who understands the content very, very well, but when it comes to testing, you're actually failing because you're actually writing what you understood, which is not wrong, but in this context, because of the setting and just because of what's expected of you, you're going to lose marks. So you have to do your best and actually give them what they want. So sometimes you have to really cram for that exam by mastering their answers and stuff like that through past papers. I'd ask people who had different papers from different years. I'd photocopy all those papers. This is like a week before the exam, for example. 2-3 days before the exam, I start going through those questions. And what works for me isn't just, I recognize this question. No, I literally have to write down the answer for me to remember it. If I'm not understanding, I will literally master the answer, write it down many times until it actually sticks, that even when I start writing, my pen kind of just like flows with the answer, you know, just like flows with the answer. Now the danger with this is by the time you're going home for holidays and stuff like that, you really don't want to study and you feel like you've done all the work and you just leave it there. So if you really didn't study throughout the whole semester to solidify what you were learning and you basically crammed your answers for the exams, you're never ever going to remember those things again because you crammed for the exam and you passed it. But what comes after that? So during your holiday period and throughout the whole semester, what you should be doing is going through the very same things you went through or you'll be going through for the next semester and try to master those things for yourself and learn them using different forms of paraphernalia throughout the internet because they are everywhere. Swallow your pride and ask for help. Now, people who studied at my school always knew that the Thai people had the plugins. By that I mean they knew where to get papers from. They knew what exactly might even come in the exam.
I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know why.
But somehow the Thai people always had the plugins. So now people have this in their very own universities. They have different forms of types of things like this. For example, during my pre-internship year, I found out that they had something called a Ganabo and protocols. So basically I was asking the locals like, okay, I need this book, I need that, I need to photocopy that, I need to print that out, and always move with that thing because that is what's going to help you. So what I'm saying is, if I understand a topic, me and my friends, I sit my friends down and say, okay, you're going to study this topic, you're going to study that topic, you're going to study that topic, and then each of us present those topics and we all learn and put each other on the spot. Now this is a technique we used when preparing for our graduation exam and preparing for internship after graduation, and that's really worked for us. So guys, do that. Don't be scared of being put on the spot. Don't be scared of not knowing an answer. Just ask your friends to viva you because we don't really get that practice in China. So if you have friends, please do have friends. Ask each other questions, fire each other questions, put each other on the spot. So since my phone decided to rudely stop recording yesterday before I was done, I don't even remember where I was or my train of thought or how I ended. Anyway.
People are constantly asking me, what's it like to be a sex symbol?
Why don't you guys laugh about it?
So So my friends and I basically studied for the graduation exam by vivering each other, giving each other topics to study and then present on, and then would put each other on the spot because we had learned that that was a system of learning even in our final year, which was our pre-internship year when we went to our different countries, and that's literally how we survived and how we thrived. Swallow your pride, I beg, oh, dear student, swallow your pride. Hey, funke, because it all comes down to the same thing.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So guys, if you made it to the end of the video, congratulations. You are one step closer to being a great student, an excellent student, and someone who will always thrive. So I pray and hope that this video helped you. If there's something else that I didn't mention that you'd like to know or you would like me to talk about in this series, just comment below. Don't forget to like, share, tell your friends about it. It might help someone, you never know. And this was a blueprint. We out.